وَإِذَا مَسَّ النَّاسَ ضُرٌّ دَعَوْا رَبَّهُم مُّنِيبِينَ إِلَيْهِ ثُمَّ إِذَا أَذَاقَهُم مِّنْهُ رَحْمَةً إِذَا فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُم بِرَبِّهِمْ يُشْرِكُونَ.
Such are human beings, that when any misfortune befalls them, they cry to their Lord, penitently, turning to Him. But no sooner than He lets them have a taste of His mercy, than some of them begin associating others with their Lord in His divinity.
52. This is a clear proof of the fact that in the depths of their heart there still exists an evidence of Tawheed. Whenever the hopes start crumbling, their hearts cry out from within that the real ruler of the universe is its master and his help alone can improve their lot. 53. That is, they again start presenting offerings before other deities, and claiming that their misfortune has been removed through the help and grace of such and such a saint and shrine.
لِيَكْفُرُوا بِمَا آتَيْنَاهُمْ فَتَمَتَّعُوا فَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ.
So that they may show ingratitude to us for the favors we had bestowed upon them. So, enjoy yourselves a while, but then you shall soon come to know.
أَمْ أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانًا فَهُوَ يَتَكَلَّمُ بِمَا كَانُوا بِهِ يُشْرِكُونَ.
Have we sent down any sanction which provides support to their associating others with Allah in His divinity?
54. That is, what authority do they have to say that the calamities are not averted by God but by the so-called saint? Does common sense approve of it? Or, is there any divine book which says that Allah has delegated His powers to such and such saints, and that they should now be invoked by the people to help them out of difficulties?
وَإِذَا أَذَقْنَا النَّاسَ رَحْمَةً فَرِحُوا بِهَا وَإِن تُصِبْهُمْ سَيِّئَةٌ بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ إِذَا هُمْ يَقْنَطُونَ.
When we make people have a taste of our mercy, they exult in it. And when any misfortune befalls them in consequence of their deeds, then lo and behold, they despair.
55. In the preceding verse the man has been censured for his ignorance, folly and ingratitude. In this verse, he has been censured for puerility and meanness. When a person attains a little wealth and power and respect, and he sees that his business has started flourishing, he forgets that he has been given all this by Allah. He exults at his success and is so puffed up and conceited that he has neither any regard left for Allah nor for the people. But as soon as good luck deserts him, he loses heart and a single stroke of ill luck so disheartens and frustrates him that he is prepared to do any mean thing, even commit suicide.
أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ وَيَقْدِرُ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ.
Do they not see that Allah enlarges and straightens the sustenance of those whom He pleases? There are signs in this for those who believe.
56. That is, the believers can learn how disbelief and shirk affect man's morality and what is the impact of belief in Allah on his morals. The person who sincerely believes in Allah and looks upon Him as the master of the treasure houses of provisions, can never be involved in meanness, in which those forgetful ones of God are involved. If he is given abundantly he will not be puffed up, he will rather be grateful to Allah, will treat his fellowmen generously and benevolently, and will spend his God-given wealth for His sake. On the other hand, he will exercise patience, he will never gamble away his honesty and self-respect, but will have hope of Allah's bounty till the last. Such a moral excellence can neither fall to the lot of an atheist nor of a polytheist.
فآت ذا القربى حقه والمسكين وابن السبيل ذلك خير للذين يريدون وجه الله وأولئك هم المفلحون.
So give his due to the near of kin, and to the needy, and to the wayfarer. That is better for those who desire to please Allah. It is they who will prosper.
57. It has not been said, give charity to the relative, the needy and the wayfarer, but their due because this is their right, due to them from you, which you must give them in any case. You should remember it well that if the real owner of the wealth has given you more than others, your extra wealth is, in fact, the right of others, which has been given to you for your trial so that your Lord may see whether you recognize the rights of others and render their rights to them or not. Anyone who reflects over this divine command and its real spirit will feel that the way proposed by the Quran for man's moral and spiritual development inevitably envisages the existence of a free society and economy. This development is not possible in a social environment in which the people's rights of ownership are set aside and stifled. The system in which the state assumes ownership of all resources and the government machinery and the entire responsibility of distributing provisions among the people, so much so that neither can an individual recognize the right of the other and render it, nor a person develop a feeling of goodwill for the other after he has received help, is a purely communist system. Such an economic and social system, which is being advocated in our country today under the deceptive name of the Quranic Order of Providence, Nizami Rububiyat, is entirely opposed to the Quranic scheme itself, for it suppresses the development of individual morality and formation of character. Altogether, the Quranic scheme can operate and function only in a society where the individuals own some resources of wealth, possess rights to expend it freely, and then render willingly and sincerely the rights of God and His servants. In such a society alone there can arise the possibility that, on the one hand, the people may develop individually the virtues of sympathy, kindliness and affection, sacrifice, recognition of the rights of others and rendering those rights in the right spirit, and on the other hand, the beneficiaries may develop in their hearts pure feelings of well-wishing, gratitude and thankfulness for the donors. This system only can produce the ideal conditions in which the elimination of evil and the promotion of goodness does not depend on the intervention of a law-enforcing authority but the people's own purity of the self and their own good intentions take up this responsibility. 58. This does not mean that true success can be attained just by rendering the rights of the needy and the wayfarer and the relative and nothing else is needed to be done for this. But it means that those who do not recognize these rights of others nor render them, will not attain true success. It will be attained by those who render the rights sincerely only for the sake of Allah's goodwill and pleasure.
وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن رِّبًا لِّيَرْبُوَ فِي أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ فَلَا يَرْبُو عِندَ اللَّهِ وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن زَكَاةٍ تُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُضْعِفُونَ.
Whatever you pay as interest, so that it may increase the wealth of people, does not increase in the sight of Allah. As for the zakah that you give, seeking with it Allah's good pleasure, that is multiplied manifold.
59. This is the first verse revealed in the Quran that condemned interest. It only says this, you pay interest thinking that it will cause an increase in the wealth of the money lender. But actually, in the sight of Allah, interest does not increase the wealth, but the wealth is increased by the payment of the zakat. Afterwards, when the commandment prohibiting interest was sent down at Al-Madinah, it was said, Allah deprives interest of all blessing and develops charity. For the later commands, see, Surah Al-Imran, Ayat 130, and Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayats 275-281. This verse has been given two interpretations by the commentators. One section of them says, here riba does not mean the interest which is forbidden by the Sharia, but it means the gift or the present which is given with the intention that the recipient will return it redoubled, or will perform some useful service for the donor, or his becoming prosperous will be beneficial for the donor himself. This is the view of Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Dahak, Qatada, Ikrimah, Muhammad bin Ka'b al-Qurzi and Shabi. Probably this comment has been made by these scholars for the reason that in this verse the only consequence mentioned of the act is that in the sight of Allah such wealth will not increase at all. If, however, it had meant the interest forbidden by the Sharia, it would have been positively said that it will be severely punished by Allah. The other group differs from this and says that it means the same well-known riba which has been forbidden by the Sharia. This is the opinion of Hassan Basri and Suddi, and Allama Alusi also has opined that the apparent meaning of the verse is the same, for riba, in Arabic is used in the same meaning. This interpretation has been adopted by the commentator Nisaburi also. In our opinion also this second interpretation is correct, for the argument given in favor of the first interpretation is not enough for discarding the well-known meaning of the word riba. In the period when Surah Ar-Rum was sent down, interest had not been forbidden yet. The prohibition was made several years afterwards. The way of the Quran is that it first prepares the minds for the thing that it has to prohibit at a later stage. About wine, the only thing said in the beginning was that it is not pure food. Surah An-Nahl, Ayat 67, then in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat 219, it was said that the harm of its sin is greater than its benefit. Then it was enjoined that the prayer should not be offered in the state of intoxication, Surah An-Nisa, Ayat 43, then, finally, it was prohibited totally. Similarly, about interest here it has been only said that it does not increase the wealth, but the real increase is caused by the zakat. After this, the compound interest was forbidden, Surah Al-Imran, Ayat 130, and finally, interest itself was made absolutely unlawful, Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat 275. 60. There is no limit to this increase. The greater the sincerity of intention, the deeper will be the sense of sacrifice. The greater the intensity of desire for Allah's pleasure with which a person spends his wealth in his way, the greater and more handsome will be the rewards that Allah will give to him. According to an authentic hadith, even if a person gives a fig in the way of Allah, Allah will increase it to the size of Mount Uhud.
Does not increase in the sight of Allah. This is the first verse revealed in the Quran expressing disapproval of interest. For the injunctions on the subject revealed later, see
Ali Imran
3:130 and Al-Baqarah 2:275 to 281.
الله الذي خلقكم ثم رزقكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم هل من شركائكم من يفعل من ذلكم من شيء سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون الله الذي خلقكم ثم رزقكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم هل من شركائكم من يفعل من ذلكم من شيء سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون.
It is Allah who created you, then bestowed upon you your sustenance, and He will cause you to die, and then will bring you back to life. Can any of those whom you associate with Allah in His divinity do any such things? Glory be to Him, and exalted be He, above whatever they associate with Allah in His divinity.
61. From here again the discourse turns to the theme of Tawheed and the hereafter for the admonition of the disbelievers and the mushriks. 62. That is, He provided all the various means in the earth for your sustenance and made such arrangements that everyone should receive something from the circulation of the provision. 63. That is, if those whom you have set up as deities can neither create, nor provide sustenance, nor have power over life and death, nor can raise you back to life after death, then what for have you set them up as your deities?
ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون.
Evil has become rife on the land and at sea because of men's deeds. This in order that he may cause them to have a taste of some of their deeds. Perhaps they will turn back from evil.
64. This is again an allusion to the war that was going on between Byzantium and Iran, which was telling on the whole of the Middle East. What the hands of people have earned, means the wickedness and oppression and tyranny, which inevitably appear in human conduct and character as a result of adopting shirk and atheism and ignoring the hereafter. Perhaps they may return, means that Allah shows the evil consequences of some of the acts of men in this world before the punishment of the hereafter so that they understand the reality, feel the error of their conjectures and turn to the righteous belief, which the prophets of Allah have been presenting before man since the earliest times, and besides adopting which there is no other way of ordering human conduct on sound foundations. This subject has been presented at several places in the Quran, e.g. in Surah At-Tawbah, Ayat 126, Surah Ar-Ra'd, Ayat 31, Surah As-Sajda, Ayat 21, Surah At-Tur, Ayat 47.
قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلُ كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُمْ مُشْرِكِينَ.
O Prophet, say, traverse in the earth and see what was the end of those who went before you. Most of them associated others with Allah in His divinity.
65. That is, the disastrous war between Byzantium and Iran is not a new thing of its kind. The past history of mankind is full of the accounts of the destruction of great nations. The root cause of the evils that caused the destruction of those nations was shirk, which you are today being admonished to avoid.
فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ الْقَيِّمِ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ يَوْمٌ لَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَصَّدَّعُونَ.
So turn your face exclusively towards the true faith before there comes the day whose coming from Allah cannot be averted, the day when people will split into groups.
66. That is, the day which neither Allah Himself will avert nor has He given power to anyone else to avert it.
مَنْ كَفَرَ فَعَلَيْهِ كُفْرُهُ وَمَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلِأَنفُسِهِمْ يَمْهَدُونَ.
He who disbelieves will suffer the consequence of it, and he who acts righteously, they will pave the way for their own good.
67. This is a comprehensive sentence which encompasses all those harms which can afflict a disbeliever on account of his disbelief. No list of the harms could be so comprehensive as this.
لِيَجْزِيَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْكَافِرِينَ.
So that Allah may, out of His bounty, reward those who believe and act righteously. Verily, He does not love the unbelievers.
وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ يُرْسِلَ الرِّيَاحَ مُبَشِّرَاتٍ وَلِيُذِيقَكُم مِّن رَّحْمَتِهِ وَلِتَجْرِيَ الْفُلْكُ بِأَمْرِهِ وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِن فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ.
And of His signs is that He sends winds to herald good tidings, and that He may give you a taste of His mercy, and that ships may sail at His bidding, and you may seek His bounty, and give thanks to Him.
68. That is, to give good news of the rain. 69. This refers to winds, which are helpful in sailing. In ancient times, sailing boats and ships mostly depended on favorable winds, and adverse winds were disastrous for them. Therefore, the mention of these winds after the rain-bringing winds has been made as a special favor of Allah. 70. Seek of His bounty, to perform trade journeys.